Good morning, and I know we stand between you and lunch, but we're going to let these folks chat with you. My name is Shanda. I'm at Blue Ridge Community College. A lot of people ask what the title is, and you heard it's very long. Basically, I'm the manufacturing liaison. So my job is to work very closely with these folks, and you heard some others earlier, to do what we need to do to help them be successful. And so today, you've heard a lot about registered apprenticeship programs. What these folks are here to share with you is an alternative, some options, some things that we've been working together on. And there are a couple other companies, Elkamet Borg-Warner Thermal, who's not here this morning, about what they're doing, thinking outside the box to grow their own. And so without further ado, I'm going to let them share their story of what they're doing to counter that continual hamster wheel, if you will, of people and training up and skilling up and identifying those high potentials and investing in them. So, Alan Williams, HR Manager at Continental Automotive Systems. Go ahead and begin. Share what you're doing in terms of incumbent worker upskill.
All right. So let me back up just a little bit. About 2 years ago or so, we ran a pilot program through Blue Ridge. We selected some individuals that raised their hand and said, hey, they would go in and have some training. So we sent them through a pilot program. There was about 8 individuals that graduated from that. Since that time, all 8 of those have been promoted into a higher level job. We saw a need of really kind of growing our own. Some of the equipment that we have is, unique to us. In other words, there's not a lot of manufacturers in the U.S. that make calipers, and I don't know that anybody else in the greater Asheville area does. So we felt like the best way for us to approach this problem was to grow our own, identify that talent, or identify those individuals that had a talent, had a desire to grow and continue on with their education and their skill development. So we actually took a little bit of different approach this second go around. We started back in the spring, and we went into the high schools in Henderson County and had an opportunity to talk to all the graduating seniors that are in that career and technical education. And what we told them is that if they would come to work for us, we would give them a college education. So for the folks from North Buncombe, that was kind of the way we approached it, and that was go to the high schools and say, because not every kid is going to go to college. Not every kid maybe has the means to go to college. So our message was, you come to work for us, we will send you to college, we'll pay for it. And oh, by the way, we do have a tuition reimbursement program, so once you get through that first part, if you want to continue your education, there's an opportunity for you to do that. So you can graduate from college with a college degree and no debt. And as a parent of somebody that has a kid going to college, how many of you would like to be able to have your kid have that kind of opportunity? So we went into the high schools first, and then we also made that same offer to our incumbent workforce and said, anybody that is interested, apply. We selected those. We have about 20 that are enrolled in a curriculum site at Blue Ridge right now for it's either a machinist or a mechatronics certificate. It's not the diploma, but it's a certificate. It is paid for entirely by Continental. We've paid their books. We've paid the tuition, and the commitment from the student side is that they're going to go to class. We've been able to work with them. They go to class on their day off, but we're paying for their schooling. And we have, like I said, about 20 that are in there right now. I fully expect that they will all do well. The neat thing about that is that one of the students that's in there is a recent high school graduated this spring, and he's come and talked to me, and he said, I would have not had an opportunity to go to college, period, if I hadn't taken this opportunity. And he is the most excited, the most enthusiastic. I have no doubt that he's not only going to complete this, but he's going to probably go on, and he's just a very motivated person. We have just a couple of folks that we were able to get from the high school ranks. I wish that we would have been able to have gotten a lot more. I think there's only 2 or 3 out of that 20 that were graduating seniors. I would have, like I said, I would love for it to have been, I would love for it to have been 20. I'd love to have 40 people in the class, but that wasn't the case. But that's kind of the approach that we've taken to it. So it's just gotten started. All the feedback I've gotten from the students, from our employees, has been very positive, and looking forward to what the next couple of semesters holds for them.
So how we started out, as he stated, was this pilot where he chose some of his incumbents, and they went through 2 classes per semester for 3 semesters, and they graduated with a certificate like these current folks. This is the model we're still using, which is stackable. Okay, they run a 4-shift operation. So with the pilot, we worked out how to make that happen. So Team A folks came this Tuesday, Team B folks come next Tuesday, then we see Team A again, and then we see Team B again, and so that's what we're doing again this time. So being very flexible to meet their need is what we're all about. So we're very excited running this around for the 2nd time. So, all right. Let's move on to Wilsonart, and we have Greg Osborn, the facility manager, and Susan Thompson, the HR manager. So, if you 2 would like to take the floor.
Okay, the first thing that we did was we started looking at the demographics of our population, our current population, because I've heard several of you say this morning we've got an aging workforce. Wilsonart has lots of tenured employees that we will probably never see again because of the age factor. But our average age at the plant, and we have 578 full-time employees, 60 contract employees, we are above 50, age 50 as our average age. We're not attracting the 18 to 24-year-olds in any form. So I started with the project back in the spring of 2015, and so I'm working into this apprenticeship program here. We looked at the critical roles that were necessary for our continued success, and one of those jobs that were identified, of course, was maintenance. And our maintenance department makes up about 10% of our workforce, and theirs was worse than the 50%. They've got about 66% that are probably retiree eligible. And when I say that, our old retiree rules, full benefits, were 55 with 10 years of service. So we knew that we needed to do something quickly. So a lot of them had been thinking about retirement, talking about retirement, but they really weren't moving. So what we did is put together a phased retirement program where we went out and we did anonymous surveys to find out how much time do we have. We wanted to be in control of when they left, how they left, and to have someone ready to take their place, because the machinery is different from one industry to another. We knew that all these years of experience, that they wouldn't come out of a school setting. It's the person that's worked on that machine that can listen to it, they know what's going on, and they know how to make the fixes. So we tried to look to see what time of timing did we have to be able to recruit and attract people to fill their skill gaps. So again, about a decade ago, before the Great Recession, we had a program in place where we were putting 2 people through an apprentice program, and of course then we had to stop and refocus on how many people do we really need to run the process. So that program got cut. Again, this fall, November of 15, we were able to go back to the leadership team, say, hey, look, we've got a number of people, too many people ready to retire, and we got that reinstated. At the same time, Blue Ridge was coming out with their maintenance certificate training program, so we had to really hurry and get some people into that training class. We sent 1 electrical apprentice, 1 mechanical apprentice through the program, and we did that from former applicants. Every time a job would come open and they would apply, we required industrial experience. They didn't have any practical industrial experience. They had some other kinds of experience in maintenance, or they had the classroom experience but no hands-on. So we quickly took 2 of those applicants that just couldn't get a break because of our job descriptions, and put them into the program. They were tenured employees, but yet they were younger than our average age. So we already had the loyalty built in. They knew the company. We knew their work ethics. And so we put them through the program. And I'm probably on that slide. Good. Okay. So the employees had, like I said, some maintenance experience, but not in an industrial setting, and that's a whole different ball game. So we selected them to go through the program, and then we have placed them with seasoned mechanics, seasoned electricians, so they shadowed them at the same time they went to school. That's probably the next page. They worked day shift along, and we've got four rotating crews in the maintenance department. So they were working with 4 different or more electricians, 4 or more mechanics, all over the plant to gain their knowledge, and attended school 1 day a week. We have since placed one of those into a full-time permanent job. Unfortunately, it wasn't one of our retiree-ready employees that left us. It was one of our new hires that didn't adapt to rotating crews like we have. So they left us, and we put that person into that role. We've got the electrical apprentice still waiting on his opportunity, but he's doing a fine job, and Greg will speak to that. So we have selected a new electrical apprentice because we want to keep that pipeline going, and they will start in the next available program. So growing the talent within the company had many, many benefits: employee morale, just getting that break, the loyalty to the company, and the other employees seeing that we had opportunity available for them.
Okay, just to add to what Susan was saying, a lot of us was hired in the early mid-'80s, and we wasn't worried about anything but making a living and going as far as we could with an exciting company at Wilsonart. And decades got by somehow, and we all got to talking about one day, you know, we could have a retirement party every week for maybe a year.
Yeah.
And we got to thinking, well, we need to have somebody's give us something good to come into. We need to have a vision and do the same. So another thing that made us recognize there's an issue is trying to hire people outside. And like Susan mentioned, we hired one, was excited, he's qualified and everything else. He didn't like our shift system. We lost him, we start over. And then the other ones that I've always said I want to, I'm probably going to let my age out now. I want the Michael Jordans of the electrician world. I want the Michael Jordans of the mechanical world. I want the best there is, and we couldn't find them. So we thought, well, what do we do? We started looking inside, but then again, we had on our qualifications for our jobs, we wanted experience because number one, I put safety on top of that. Safety is our number one thing, and if I brought somebody in with no experience, we're taking a risk. So what better thing could you do but train that person in your safety, in your process, and we're doing it from within. So these employees, one of them was 15, 20 years at Wilsonart, so they know our process already. They know our safety policies and rules. They know the rotating shifts. They know if they can deal with them or not, which is something you got to consider. It's a challenge. So it also builds morale in the plant. I have a lot of people as I walk through the plant stop me and want to know about our apprenticeship program. So it's very exciting, and we put these with our seasoned mechanics and electricians. They go to every corner of the building. They get to get involved, and I've even assigned them some simple preventive maintenance. We're very proactive. They've got some preventive maintenance PM sheets come out with their name on, so they're giving us some ownership. They get to get involved in huge capital projects that we do. Under our closed full watch, because those are very dangerous when we're installing big pieces of equipment or rebuilding equipment. But it's working out very well, and they attended the Blue Ridge Community College program, and then what's really exciting for me to hear is they say, yeah, we was talking about that in class the other day. They was seeing it live in the field, so they could. I think it's really going to work well for Wilsonart. I'm excited to hear some of the mature apprentice programs, some of the success stories. I hope I can share some, or somebody will, maybe not me, like Fred did. And I know they go way back, but I think it's a very, very good program, and we can teach them the Wilsonart way. We brought people in that share stuff with us from outside. They might have had a career of 20 years somewhere else, and they bring good ideas. And we never thought of it doing like that, but sometimes they bring things we tell them, you need to forget that. We don't do it like that here. So it's worked out very well. We're very excited with it. So we're still in the infant stages of it, but it's working very well.
And so what's exciting is due to the success that they have seen in the maintenance apprenticeship program, and the two gentlemen who are showcased on the cover of our fall continuing education schedule. We met yesterday talking about looking at doing something similar with the production team. So some type of continued internal development with those folks. So moving on, we now have Reggie Gaither. He's back up front again from Meritor. So he has a registered apprenticeship program, and then he looked at something different for some other folks. So Reggie.
Is that my cue?
That's your cue. You're on.
So again, like she said, we do have the registered apprenticeship program, but we, back in September of last year, we're looking at actually doing a little bit of full-time hiring, which we hadn't done in a while. If you guys remember, I mentioned that we actually build axles for commercial trucks. 3 main departments within the building. One of them is our housing department, which actually formulates the housing unit of an axle. And one is our gearing department, which actually takes the gears, gets them cut, gets them carburized the right way so they can go into the components. The production folks in those 2 departments spend their days making sure the machines are doing what they're supposed to do. So they're checking the parts, making sure the parts are hitting the quality that needs to happen. If there is an issue, a lot of times it is make the phone call for maintenance and sit back and wait. And one of the things that we knew is we need to get our production folks more comfortable with making the necessary adjustments so we don't have to wait for maintenance. And so working with Shanda and Blue Ridge, the folks that we just brought on, we brought on 13 new hires, but we basically put together a certificate program where they get an opportunity to, our goal was to get them more comfortable with machining, with PLCs, I don't want them to go in and change the logic on anything, but I want them to be more comfortable with, you know what, I've been seeing the same issue, engineer, maintenance, if we make these changes, can I, be more productive in my machining as a production operator? So we started that, the classes actually started in January. It took us a while to kind of, I worked closely with the new hires. There was 13 of them. Currently, they're working on 2nd and 3rd shifts. They had to make a commitment. Are they willing to come in on their time off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon after working 3rd shift to go to a class? So they're learning a little bit about industrial safety, one of the first things. Blueprint reading was the past 2. We're going to be getting into automation. We'll be getting into software. Some of the classes that are next step, and then we're actually going to move into actually some curriculum classes where the goal would be really PLC focused. And once we're done, these it's now 9. 3 of the folks actually life happens and couldn't finish the classes right now, but they will get an opportunity to actually have a certificate from Blue Ridge. Can be applied. They can move on to go ahead and get a bachelor's degree if they choose to, but they also, our goal is that they will be more comfortable with machinery in our facility. Not all of the equipment that Blue Ridge currently has matches with the same machinery, but my goal isn't to have them to go to Blue Ridge to learn how to run my machines. It is to go there to get more comfortable with the concepts of what needs to happen and then bring that back to us here at the plant. So we only finished our first semester. We're getting ready to go into our second. We spent a lot of time working with those operators to let them know this was a pilot. I needed their feedback, and I can tell you, I get stopped by guys who had very little sleep to say, okay, we got to change the time of the class. So we're working on that. But it's been helpful from a production standpoint, not just a skilled trade standpoint.
So another version, we started back 2 years ago, as Alan stated, at Continental with a pilot, starting out 2 semesters on the Con Ed side, 2 classes each. We articulated that over. Our classes had the rigor, You know, it had the homework, it had the quizzes, it had the tests, it had everything that met the requirements of SACS and so forth, which is the governing body of our community college system. So those classes, that work articulated over curriculum, those 8 people graduated. They now have this certificate in which is stackable to build upon. Running that again. That led to Meritor rolling with theirs, hearing about the successes here. Elkamet, they're in their second semester, same thing. Borg-Warner Thermal, same thing. There's going to be that articulation over. So investing in their workforce in a different type of option than a registered apprenticeship. But though yet, this possibly could become, if these companies so choose, to become a registered apprenticeship. And then you have the maintenance program internalized, much like what you had done at MB Haynes. So, questions from the audience for these 3 companies?
I just want to say I thank you on the end for handling going into the schools and asking to speak with students. So my one bit of advice, if I can get any, is when you, like I get calls that say, I want to talk to your kids that aren't going to college or whatever. I always say, no you don't. Because we know that within a semester people are coming home. So ask to talk to all the kids because you don't know who you might get out of that. As you know, some of the kids might be going to college until they graduate on June 13th and then they're not going to college anymore. And you have missed that kid if, you know, you pulled them out. So try to say, let me have all your kids because you're going to get kids.
And so how that rolled, you know, Alan and I, we were discussing the next round of the program, his certificate program, and talked about, can we grab some of those high school kids? They're getting ready to graduate. So I brought Chris English in, brought Dr. Wendy Edney in, CTE director, and she said, let's bring in then the 3 coordinators that she has, Jennifer and Amy and Darlene, brought them in to hear what it was about. They were very excited, very excited. Rolled it out, he went in, chatted at those schools. We then had a night at the college, Continental night at Blue Ridge, bringing the parents, the guardians, the friends, the brothers, the sisters, the grandparents, whomever it was, to come in and see, this is where the schooling's going to take place. This is a really cool mechatronics lab and the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da with all this great latest equipment that we've got. That helped. That helps tell the story.
I think you just touched on something also. A key point is catching those parents. Because you don't always, it's not always the kids you have to catch. I know I'm speaking from my district in Owen. We used to have a lot of manufacturing in Owen district, but it was textile manufacturing. A lot of the parents were employed there. Those textile mills are gone now. Parents were left without jobs, have moved away, and those that are still there don't want to hear about manufacturing. They don't want their kids to go into that because in their mind, manufacturing is textiles, you know, or something like that. So they're not going to encourage their kids to do that. So I think if you can reach those parents and show them what, you know, what the new standard is or what you're offering now, that kind of helps to encourage their kids. The parents are, you know, willing to let their kids go into that or explore that.
Absolutely. You know, go ahead.
This doesn't need to wait until they get ready to graduate. This needs to happen while they're in high school, and that's the internships opportunities we're talking about at the high school level, is bringing them in as seniors, typically, to kind of see what's going on. And for you HR folks, and I came from industry, so I've been there, this is a recruiting tool for you guys. That you have very little risk. That Jonathan mentioned earlier, there's some risk in this. You can bring some of these kids into seniors, kind of see what goes on in your operations. You get to know them a little bit, check fit, without a whole lot of risk. These don't have to be paid. You don't have to take them on as employees. So I think there's understanding that side of it from where we're coming from at the high school level can be a win-win for a lot of people, because if you can find the right fit come out of high school to lower your workforce age and get those new people in to understand it, that can help recruiting for AB Tech, for Blue Ridge, for Haywood, for anybody else in those programs that you've got those relationships with these kids coming direct out of high school, and then you don't run into you're getting 12 in and you end up with 6 of them dropping out in the first 6 months, because you can kind of work through some of that up front. Find those kids that have some interest, because we've got a lot of programs going on in Buncombe County for sure. The manufacturing and all the things that you guys are talking about all day today that Christy touched on earlier this morning when she asked, how many of you been in a high school in the last 5 years? High school now is not what it was 5 years ago. If you've not been in a high school, come look what's going on in CTE, not only our English and math, but come look at what's going on in CTE. Look what's going on in our classrooms and watch what our teachers are teaching and look what these kids are learning. Because I think there's some of that missing. And
Well, I think we're heading down the right path.
Yes.
We have Made in Henderson County, which for over the last 5 years has pumped 7,000 kids through the manufacturing facilities. These manufacturers are out talking in those classrooms. You have RAMP in Buncombe and Madison County. So I think we're making inroads. And here are some other options to show you that these companies, they get it. They understand. They are very invested and want to ensure that that pipeline is there and that they're growing their own and growing the future. So here are some options for you to look at.
We've done that through RAMP, a manufacturing facility, and we invited high school students in with their parents after work, brought pizza in, and the parents and students had no idea this type of manufacturing goes on. And it was great because you got people that were interested in and brought the parents in. So rather than the parents saying manufacturing is dying breed, it's moving out of the country, they saw what was going on, they saw our plan, so it worked very well.
Absolutely. I mean, my former life, Julie knows, before Blue Ridge was manufacturing for 20 years. We are cities within ourselves. We truly are cities within ourselves. We hire how many occupations, manufacturers? How many occupations in the Department of Labor Code? A lot. Tons, right? So there is a place for everyone, no matter what their desired path is within the world of manufacturing. And so it is very exciting. But we're getting there. We're making inroads. One last comment. I heard yesterday, Smart Track, they make the RFID inlays. There's the little magnetic strip that's in your Visa card now. Chris Hyken, the plant manager, we call him Hurricane Hyken because he's constantly rolling. Anyway, he just hired a North Hendersonville High graduate that came through in the Made in Henderson County program. So it's going to work. It's just going to take time.